Hello and welcome to the Arts Are Education podcast, where we talk to national, state, and local decision makers who are working to make arts education part of every student's life. I'm Jim Palmarini, your host. And today we're doing something a little different. We're talking to a roundtable of young decision-making students who are impacted by the policies that are put forth by these national, state, and local decision makers. They all have at least one particular arts interest, but not necessarily that being their only arts area of study and interest. So I'm really excited to welcome them to the Arts Education Roundtable podcast. And at that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and welcome them into the Arts Are Education room. So what we're going to do first is let them each introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Kate Ritter. Kate?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Ritter. I am a senior at Hickory High School in Chesapeake, Virginia. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm primarily a theater student.
Thank you, Kate. All right, Kamryn.
Hi, my name is Kamryn Davenport. I am a sophomore at Dover High School here in Dover, Delaware, and our interest is visual arts, and my pronouns are she, her.
Thank you, Kamryn. And Kensie, to you.
Hi, my name is Kensie. I go to Lane Middle School. I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm in the 6th grade. I go to and I'm currently studying choir.
Okay. Thank you, Kensie. On to you, Ava.
Hi, I'm Ava. I'm a senior at South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities in Greenville, South Carolina. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a dancer.
Thank you, Ava. And last but not least, M.
Hello, my name is Em. I'm a senior at St. Andrew's Schools, the Priory in Honolulu, Hawaii. And my pronouns are she, her, and my primary focus for the arts are theater and music.
All right. Thank you so much. So at that, we're going to get started. Our format is a little different than our past podcast. I am going to ask one broad question of all of our panelists, and they will have 3 minutes to answer. And then we'll move into a sort of a round robin routine in which each of the podcast participants will ask one of the other podcast participants a question, and then that person in turn will become the interviewer and move on to another individual and ask them a question. I hope that makes sense and we have it all straight. So at that, I'm just going to start with this very basic question of all of you. How is it going this year now that you've been back into the classroom and into the studio and on the stage and on the rafters to sing and to dance and to draw now that you're back in? What's going well? Maybe what's not going so well in your school? So I'm going to start with you, Kate. You're on the deck. Go ahead.
Hello. Like I said earlier, I'm primarily a theater student, which obviously has been heavily impacted by COVID-19 and the pandemic. I know a lot of theater programs across the country have shut down because of just the incapability of having a studio audience. But this year, we've been so excited. I'm back in person, and we get to have like a normal senior semester for drama. And it's been so nice to see everybody. I haven't seen everybody in over a year. And we actually this year have had the opportunity to do an in-person show, which I know a lot of schools haven't. So that has been very fun. We wrapped it up last week. And that was so fun, just getting back with everybody and creating numbers. I know I was able to choreograph a couple numbers for the show, and it was so exciting and fun. But we did have to have a little fight with our local government officials in the state about allowing an audience into our auditorium. I know that even though like athletics, we're able to have viewers in the stands, even in indoor events, we struggled to get approval to have even 100 people in the audience. But we banded together as our program, and with the help of local officials and state thespian leaders. I'm actually a state officer for advocacy in Virginia, so it's something I've been looking into a lot, and we got permission to have like the normal amount in the auditorium, which was super exciting. We've struggled a lot this year, though, with stuff like that, and even not as a theater student, but other arts programs, being able to like have concerts. I know our chorus department weren't able to have their fall concert because they couldn't get approval from downtown. So that's something that's definitely been struggling. But overall, we've been looking forward to Ready Together. And that's just super exciting to even act, even though we do have masks and we're forced to wear masks during performances. It makes us extend our capabilities as theater students and really act as actors and with all parts of our body and really explore physicality of acting. And that's just something that's been very exciting this year.
Thank you, Kate. Kamryn Davenport, let's hear from you.
This year has been definitely better than last year, I could definitely would say. I think getting back in like the classroom and like being in like a school environment allows me to like gain more motivation to like actually do my work, because like, you know, with the pandemic and all, it was very hard for me to like get myself to like do online school because it was so new to me. And so like being back into a classroom and being somewhere I'm used to really helped. Our school has a art club and a National Art Honor Society, which I'm a part of both. And art club is like doing very well in running, and like we have like a lot of people who are interested, which is very great. But like with National Art Honor Society, we're trying to gain more momentum and like have more people join because we only have 4 members at the moment. So, and before the pandemic, we had like about at least 10 in the organization. So coming back in the school and having more people interested is really something we're going to work towards in terms of our honor society. And yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hey, Kensie, you're up. How's it going with choir in your school?
It's definitely better than last year. Last year, it was hard. I didn't even want to do music anymore because the class was just, it was hard to do. And now it's a lot more fun, and there's people, and my friends are all there, and it's really fun to just sing.
Are you able to have concerts in choir, public concerts yet?
Yes, we're going to have a concert in 9 days in December. And I'm excited, but I'm also kind of nervous because it's the first time I've sung in a concert for choir before.
Okay. I'm sure it's going to go great for you. All right. Ava, how's it going for you?
Hi.
As a dancer.
As I said earlier, I am a dancer, and it's similar to theater and other art areas. It's a performing art. So you really rely on the performance aspect to, push the art out there. So like closing down all of, performance opportunities for even major dance companies has been hard. So, reaching out through like social media and banding together, it was really cool last year to see all other dancers from across the world, like in their house, like with their small little studios, like doing whatever they could to, keep doing what they loved. And so now that we're back in person, it's really good to be with those people and actually be in a space where you can move freely and have the space to dance full out instead of just like in your little house. So it's been really great to be with all my friends. It's very motivating, like Kamryn said. So it's nice to also have teachers there to give you those personal corrections and actually see you and know that you're improving. So you have, it's a healthier, it's a good environment. So yeah.
Thanks, Ava. And you?
All right. So fortunately, I see art as this amazing this amazing medium of entertainment that is able to really adapt to all kinds of changes. So I've noticed that through this pandemic, there have been so many amazing adaptations of, ways to figure out, ways to work around like not having an audience, ways to work around not being able to sing in the normal traditional way, et cetera, et cetera. So I've seen this. I think it's just really inspiring to me to see all this, all these changes being made to work around COVID and its restrictions. For me personally, at school, it's kind of complicated actually. So before COVID, there was kind of not too much appreciation towards the arts programs. So once COVID hit, and like all the art programs completely just performing art programs were just completely not able to do anything. There was really, we really saw the importance of having the arts in general. And so once things got a little bit better in terms of COVID related things, we started to get things back up like theater and orchestra and choir and band. And we really saw that these art programs are super important. So COVID was really, it sucked, but it also actually kind of helped us to see the importance of having the arts and why we really need to have it with students, with teenagers especially. So that there were a lot of ups in the downs for me personally. So yeah, and then also fortunately in Hawaii, the numbers for COVID have just been relatively low compared to the mainland. So we've been able to do a little bit more things, but it's still been very complicated and challenging, which is why it's just, again, so inspiring to see all these like theaters, all these music groups just really try to change the way that they're sharing their art to the world, to the community, because it's also showing that it's also showing a completely different story. And yeah, it's just, again, really inspiring. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to move into our round robin mode, which means Mina, you are still up because you are going to interview Ava. So you have your prompt. Go at it, Ava and M.
All right, Ava. So as a dance student, what are you grateful for now that you're back in school?
Okay, so there's a lot of great things to say about, being back in person. Starting off with, like I said earlier, just being in an open environment where you can physically dance and physically move full out and learn to, regain the appreciation that you previously, it's before COVID and during COVID, like the passion is always there. It's just, you kind of go on autopilot. So having a moment to like look back and see, oh, this is what I love to do. And now that I have the space to it, I've regained appreciation for it. So this year at school, we're finally allowing, we're re-allowing performances. So I have the winter show for my school coming up in about 2 weeks. So that's exciting to finally be back on stage with my friends and to have family members watch dance as well, because it's been so long. And I'm sure everyone else here can say the same. I'm also really grateful that that we're able to now like rebuild connections with our teachers, having more personal corrections and personal attention for personal improvement, as well as a class as a group as a whole, because dance is very cooperative. You need to be one with the rest of the people that you're dancing with. So being in person with them and having that connection in and outside of the studio has really helped us grow individually and as a class. And also seeing some of the younger students at my school, it's really cool to see the future for, us and other dancers and just dancers everywhere and other artists too. So yes, thank you. If you want, I can go ahead and interview Kate. Hi. Okay. So Kate, how has the pandemic affected your work as a theater student?
Yeah, definitely piggybacking off what you said, even just meeting the new generation of theater students and like student leaders in my theater program, it's inspired me so much more. And because of the pandemic, we hadn't been able to meet them really or get to know them. So because I'm just now getting to know them, I see them now as even like juniors who haven't really had a high school experience. It's been definitely interesting to help me grow as a leader and help lead them into becoming the next leaders. Obviously, last year during the pandemic, we couldn't have live performances, like I said, and that stretched me absolutely beyond. We had a virtual show last year, which live theater doesn't exactly go well with virtual at first thought, but what I loved about it was that we got to create and collaborate just together as a class to create something that we were so proud of. It was almost completely student produced, and we got to play around with different editing styles and explore more of the tech sides of theater and even like film that we had never been able to experience and probably would have never been able to do if it had been for a normal year. And that was incredible. It made me actually found a new love for screenwriting. Something that theater I've always loved to do is write. And that has made me become a more active writer and analyzing theater as an art form in literature, which is super exciting. Like I said, and now that we're back in person this year, I've used everything that I found last year and everything that helped me grow into our live performances. So I've become much more interested in the tech side of theater, which is so underrepresented in most schools, and been able to help direct some of the shows I've been doing. It's super fun and it's helped me grow so much as a person. It's made me become more creative and more innovative, and I would have never been able to do that without the pandemic. And even as a program, we do not take anything for granted anymore. And it's been so exciting to find our love for theater again, like you said, just reimagining our love in an entirely different way and coming together even more than we have in the past. This year, as a person who has been part of our theater program for the past 4 years, this year is special. And I think that it's not talked about enough how the bond that we, even as mostly high schoolers and middle schoolers, have together because of something we went through collectively. And that's made me a better theater student and a better student altogether. And I would like to ask Kensie now, what do you think your fellow choir students need to be successful this year?
We definitely need supportive classmates, because like when there are people whispering and snickering and stuff while you're singing, it doesn't feel very good, and it makes us try less hard, or it makes us try less hard. And we need more funding too, for like so that the schools from economically challenged areas can have access to the arts. And like in elementary school, we only had music part-time as like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, thank you. Now I'm going to ask Kamryn, how do you think things need to change? How do you think things need to change to improve arts education in your school, your state, nationally?
Thank you. I think the big thing is to take it more seriously and to realize how much of an impact art has on students. And also, we need like definitely more teachers and like more support, like Ava said, because in my school, I only have one visual arts teacher teaching about 4 different subjects regarding the visual arts. And, I feel like it would definitely be better if there were like more teachers like to focus on certain subjects. And also our classes are only for like a semester. So it would be nice if we could go back to having like full year courses in terms of like art and, the arts in my school. Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you your question. How and why do you think students need to advocate for arts education in schools?
So if you've ever read a book or watched a movie that takes place in a dystopian society, the one common thing that all societies lack is art. Before history was physically written, it was passed down through art. All our cultures, identities, and the cores of who we are connect to art. The reason we are able to connect to someone who doesn't speak the same language as us is because of art. Art teaches us the ability to express our emotions and feelings in an ethical way. It allows us to really gain a voice of honesty to speak to others, and an eye of perspectives to understand each other. And as school is one of the most important places of building character, it's important that students get the opportunity to experience arts in their schools to really build their character. And it's really important to recognize that a challenge doesn't mean impossible. So although advocating for the arts will be challenging, it's a challenge that is worth the effort because as students, we have seen how schools affect our lives, how school makes us. So honestly, I am still learning to understand how to advocate best for arts education. However, from what I have already learned, it's really all about that experiential learning. Allowing the decision makers for the arts education in schools to first experience your art and why you find it important. So, for example, for me, I've really just been trying to show my art, my peers' art, whatever type of art that is. It really allows them to see what you are doing and how it is changing you as a person and as a student. So I think just try to find every decision maker is going to be different. They're all going to have their different reasons, but it's just all about finding what they want, what they're trying to look for in order to find the importance in allowing the access to whatever it is, in this case, arts education. That's what I have to say about the how students need to advocate. Of course, again, I'm still learning, but that's just my best answer as a student.
Okay, so we went to the roundtable, and I have a question or two for all of you. I heard a lot of comments, one way or another, about what it just means to be back among your fellow students. So, what is it about being in a room, whether you are creating a sculpture or whether you're working on a scene or a dance or a piece of music, that is so different in person than being isolated in a room looking at a screen, as we all are right now, for example. So how is that different? Anybody want to touch that? Ava?
So this is a very simple answer, but I think being around people your age that are just as passionate at something like as you are, it's very motivating, and you can also learn from your peers as well. So being in a room with these passionate people that share that passion, sorry, I'm saying that a lot with you, you can learn so much from them. Like, you can obviously get feedback and critiques from your teachers and people above you like that, but people that are with you, that are learning with you, that are trying and maybe failing with you, you can learn so much from them as well as yourself.
Anybody else? How's it different? Em?
So as someone who is like really immersed in many different mediums of art, I realized like all these different types of art teach you different things. So for example, like theater can teach you confidence, music can teach you discipline, et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing that I've found to be really important is that connection with other people. And it's pretty difficult when you're on Zoom trying to do that. The whole the whole idea of connecting with people really stems from that ability to have your own voice. And sometimes when you're not really sure how that person is reacting to who you are, what you are doing, it's pretty difficult to move from that, if that makes sense. So like, for example, when I'm in theater, I'm really able to use people's eye contact and body movements to understand who I am as that character in that scene, or who I am as an actor. Or if I'm like in orchestra rehearsal, I'm really able to connect with other people through their sounds and understanding what they're trying to portray through their music. So it's really just all about, for me personally, it's really just about that connection. And it's just so much easier when you're in person, when you're really able to get every single sense of your body into that room and into that scene. So that's my personal opinion for getting back in person and being together more.
Kate?
Absolutely. Like, I love what you said about human connection. I think that's really what the arts is all about completely. I think that is the whole premises of the arts. And as a part of the generation that grew up using technology and using screens and on social media, I think that we've grown up our whole lives trying to connect with people over social media, but which is what we had to do with Zoom last year. And as someone, I know I got certainly tired of it. And when you're in a room with somebody, there's just an energy that builds and builds and builds, even if it's just people tapping their finger on the desk next to you or somebody laughing in the corner. Like, it becomes a certain rhythm and music to it. And I think that's what inspires me so much about being in person. It's being able to build off each other and create like a song within your room that you're just in with other people.
So, Kensie, so you are now, I'd like to think you're in choir. So you're standing next to other students. Are you an alto or a soprano?
I don't remember.
That's okay. But is it feel different to try to harmonize with somebody in a room now for you? Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's hard to harmonize with people. I mean, it's easier to harmonize with people in a room because on like a Zoom meeting, if there's multiple people talking at once, there'd be somebody getting cut out. But in real life, when somebody sings off key, it just ruins the whole thing, kind of. And it makes other people sing off key once you do that.
Okay, let's hear from the visual artist in the room here.
Yeah, going back to like what Kate and Em said, like I realized that more people are like willing to like actually like connect with each other and like bounce off each other's ideas and like gain like new perspectives if they're like in person, because like with virtual learning, like most of the time everyone's cameras were off, everyone was silent, like no one wanted to like talk at all, like, but like being in person, you're sort of like almost like forced to do it, but like it's good for you to like actually like understand like what other people are like doing, and like it's more like hands-on definitely than being virtual.
So here's another question, but interrupt me when you have your own question. How has being able to do your artistic endeavor live again meant to you academically? Has it made a difference to you in how you feel about just being in school and doing all the other stuff? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think it really helps from being in person, because academic wise, around this time last year, my grades were not doing good because of, it was like, the pandemic, it was finally starting to like get to me. So it's just like now I am like, and now since I'm in person, I can like, I have more discipline with myself in order to like get work done and turn stuff in on time, definitely, because I have more people holding me accountable now that I'm in person. Because so like having like a teacher in front of you saying, hey, this is due this date. It's better than just having something on the screen, like reading it. Yeah.
Ava?
So I go to an residential arts high school. So I live with other students that are artists in all areas. So I think being with them and just like knowing that you are in class with people that are doing their arts classes from like 1 to 7 p.m. like every day. And you're with them all the time. So you know that you have that and you can go to them if you need anything. It's still stressful, especially as a senior. So like I know like with the other seniors here right now, college applications, that whole process, either it's finished for you or it's still going or it's still going to auditions or applications or anything like that. It's hard juggling it all. So like academics and college applications are already a lot, but you throw in arts. It's a lot to juggle at once. So I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely going off what you said about college applications, Ava, that's definitely one of the most stressful parts of me being a senior right now. And like my academic life just in general, whether that just be taking like the hardest classes I can and get in some of the best schools. Obviously, some of the classes I'm taking could be seen as like difficult and sometimes they can get a little boring. But my arts and my drama department have made me excited to come to school and excited to engage in my other subjects. I'm in an AP literature class right now, and it is so much better because the stuff we talk about in that class feeds directly into my arts class and vice versa. It's just made me genuinely more excited to learn about my other subjects. And it's so exciting to come to school every day and being able to analyze what it means to be an actor. And that makes me rethink a lot of other parts of my life that I haven't thought of, like my life as an academic and stuff like that.
M?
So I was never really like an academically driven person, and I go to a very academically driven school, which is fine, but it also has its challenges because of course they're going to be expecting me to do well in those academic content courses, so it was just very unmotivating for me, and being in an academically driven family, it was even more unmotivating because I had an even higher expectation to do even more well. So I never really found an interest in these non-arts spaces. So I always used the arts as kind of my outlet, and it's always been that way until I started to really have it be my passion. Like, I really want to pursue it. So especially when COVID hit, the arts was really where I found my safe space, where I found my space to really breathe and be free with my voice. Because also something about myself is I verbally cannot get my message out there. It's just, I find it impossible for me. So really having the arts there for me while I'm, going through all these challenging times, such as my academics, I really find this really nice creative outlet. So yeah, that's just for me.
So Kensie, has it made a difference for you being able to sing in terms of maybe feeling better about all that other homework that you've got to do?
Yeah, I think because I have it first period every day, I feel like it lightens up everything. So when I have to go to math class afterwards, and it's not my favorite class, but it makes it less hard to go to that class because I have really a lot of fun in choir. So
Kensie, I completely relate. I was in a boys' glee club when I was in high school, and it made all the difference for me in terms of passing geometry and algebra too. So stick with that. Here's one other thought, and again, I'm asking a lot of questions, and I want to make sure I give you the opportunity to ask a question. So, what has the arts done, do you think, for your school community? Has it helped school-wide to sort of raise the level of expectation and just feeling good again? How important are the arts to your school, I guess, is my question, do you think, to others? Kate.
Absolutely. The arts, I have a pretty thriving arts program at my school. We are in an arts school, but we have a good arts program. And even outside of theater, I do marching band. And we have a very large marching band, and it encompasses a lot of the school. So the fact that we got to have a marching band season this year and get excited about it spread throughout the entire school. And we had more school spirit because of it. We felt larger as a community, and it just overall heightened the excitement to be back in school and to be a part of my school. Especially like even at football games when we perform, like we don't have the best football team. So it's kind of a fun thing to lighten the mood and everything. And I think the arts has done that for everything, with theater, with chorus, with orchestra, with visual art. It's just something so ingrained in my school that I think really helps us become a larger community. Thank you.
Ava? And then
So being an art school, it's everyone here is an artist in their own way. So I think finally being with each other has been it's been so different than last year. And I came here my sophomore year, and so that was that whole beginning of that first year. It was everyone, it was normal, and then COVID hit, and then it was kind of hard to see the change. Everyone being together, creating art, everyone going to support other art areas, performances or showcases or concerts or anything like that. It was a really nice way to know that your friends and your students and your peers appreciated you and what you did for so long. You put so much time into it. So I think COVID, that kind of put a damper on that. But our school has every other Friday, we have a school-wide meeting. So over Zoom, we continue that. And there would be people presenting poems, any songs that they had written, any other talents that they had that they wanted to showcase to the rest of the school. And we still do it in person as well. So I think it's really cool to see how we continued that connection as a school to keep the arts alive in our own environment, which then made it so much more stronger when we came back together in person.
Em, you had something?
So like, as I mentioned earlier, the arts really again, build character. And I think that's really been helping a lot of the students here who have really been, having that academic focus, which again is fine. But it's also really great to see them have this other side of them. But something that I've really noticed is really important to me here is the connection to culture, because being in Hawaii, there's a sense of there's a lot of importance with culture. And so our school has a huge tie to the Hawaiian culture because it was founded by a Hawaiian queen, and she was very important here in Hawaii. So a lot of what we do is tied to her and her legacy. And something that I've noticed with all cultures really is to express a lot of stories and messages. It's done through art. And so, for example, for here, we do it a lot through hula and singing. So it's just really interesting to see that tie into culture, arts. And honestly, it's not just Hawaiian culture here. I'm just saying that's one of the most important ones for us here, but it's also my culture, my Indian culture, or many of my peers' Japanese culture. It's just very important to us to really connect to our culture. So that's just one of the biggest things for me, living here in Hawaii, being able to get that tie with culture and art.
Okay, who has a question? Kensie, you have your hand up.
I'd like to answer that question. I think the arts, it's just something that everybody looks forward to whenever they have it in that quarter, because it breaks up a lot of the academic stuff, and it's just so much more fun and chill, and it just breaks it all up. And everybody I know that has an arts in their quarter always looks forward to it. Like that's the thing that they most look forward to every quarter.
Okay, who has a question? Anybody just have a question that they're dying to ask?
I have a question.
Okay,
so I know that Kate talked about this earlier, but are there any aspects of continuing your art area during the pandemic that actually helped you flourish as an artist, or like helped you discover new things, or or that's something that you actually appreciated that came out of it?
Kamryn.
I would say I find a lot of my inspiration online. So being able to see what others have been able to do during the pandemic has really motivated me to maybe try something new, or go into a new project, or start new projects and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was talking about earlier, finding new aspects of theater that I hadn't found before because of the pandemic. And actually, right before the pandemic, we were working on our spring show in, I guess it was spring of 2020. And we actually had the opportunity to do the exact same spring show this spring. And I think that even looking into that show, it's so different now. We have, I look at it completely differently. And because of the experiences I've had through the pandemic, it's made me analyze that play even more. And I'm so excited to work on it with the new knowledge that I and my fellow students have. And I think it's given us a greater perspective on what more we can do with the show and how much we can push it, how much better we can make it. So that's something I've been really looking forward to.
Well, Ava, you're waving your hands. You have to. I wanted to just bring up one other thing, and that you and all of your students were really traumatized by the pandemic. It's really hard to get back into the classroom. So, what are you seeing among your fellow students? Is it different for those who are invested in the arts than it is for those who are not? If that sounds like a question. Do you think it's been easier for art students to get readjusted to being back? Because, as Kensie said, those who have an arts within their quarter, that keeps them, breaks things up, makes things better. Do you think that's true for everybody? Is it harder for non-art students or not? Any thoughts about that, Ava?
I think what Em said previously about how some people have different interests and passions. Maybe it would be, maybe someone is actually really good at and really passionate about biology. That's something that I think that is, it's not art, but it's something that they hold to that standard for themselves, like we do for art. And the same with sports. Maybe someone is really passionate about a sport that they do. So I think just everyone finding their individual interests and something that makes them feel the happiest and looking forward to going to school and getting back into in-person is really important for them to do for themselves.
Anyone else? Em?
This is just a short answer, but I think it's kind of a complicated question because I think there are many things to consider. Because so when I think of how arts change impacts our lives, I think of like all the skill sets that you are able to gain from arts, like for example, confidence, public speaking, talking, etc. So I think it's just really dependent on the person and what they already know as human beings, what they already know as a social person. I'm not sure if that made sense, but basically I think it really just depends on the person and what they already have as a human being.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely what Em said earlier about it definitely depends on the person, and maybe not so much coming back, but the preparation of being in the arts before the pandemic definitely can change your outlook on the pandemic as a whole. But as someone who is in some of these academic classes, I know that personally, that if I had to go straight from pandemic learning, where it was all about meeting those deadlines and just keeping on top of your work, and just focusing more on like the individual aspect, and now getting thrown back into classes and like being forced to discuss with your peers and just going back to normal can seem very just incredibly not what you think. It's almost like it's a big elephant in the room no one wants to talk about. And I know that some students that I interact with and some of my friends are now struggling to readjust to what their normal was and keeping up with those same deadlines, but in a completely different environment. And even though we're sitting in these same classrooms in the same school that we've had for the past 4 years, it's just so incredibly different. And I think that the arts has allowed more breathing room. I think it's allowed a classroom where you can more openly discuss, because a lot of like our academic classes in Virginia, we have standards of learning that we have to meet, obviously, and get through the course load. But in a lot of our arts classes, it's more up to the teacher and just what you want to do in that semester and what you want to work on. And I think that allows more room to see the changes that the pandemic has brought on us, and seeing what we did last year and being able to reevaluate on a like one-to-one basis, I think is definitely allowed at least me as an art student to better prepare myself for this year.
Well put. Kamryn.
Bouncing on back on like what Em and Kate said, it of course depends on the person, but also it's important to think about because I am a sophomore. So before the pandemic, I was in my 8th grade year. So I was lucky enough to do like hybrid learning. So like I could go in for a couple of days and, you know, do virtual as well. But a lot of the kids at my school, that's brand new to them. Like we have not only my sophomore class, but also the freshmen who were left back in left school in their 7th grade year because of the pandemic. And it was really hard for everyone to like be adjusted to like a new school and like new classrooms, new teachers, just like an overall new environment, because it's just like have to like start from scratch, basically. So.
All right, we are, I think, about to wrap up. So I'm going to just ask each of you for any final comment that you have about arts education and your experience. Anybody have any final comments as we wrap?
I just wanted to say that it's been really fun to talk to young artists across the country. So I'm just very grateful for this experience. Very eye-opening, very cool to see other people that are very passionate.
Em?
I also agree with Ava, but I also just love being able to talk to other types of artists, because I think that really brings in different perspectives. So I think it's just, this was a really cool podcast. And yeah, it was really great to hear from all of you.
Okay. Kensie, Kamryn, go ahead, Kamryn. Final comment?
Yes, it was really fun being able to do this. Of course, I know a lot of us have never done this before. So it was really like a really fun new experience. And Also, I really want to talk about like with art education. I feel like it's very important to educate students on like what they're able to do with art in their future, because there's a whole like starving artist, that whole idea. And I think it's very important that art is, it can be used anywhere. So being able to educate students on like what they're able to do with their talents will help them go farther in the future. So, yeah, thank you.
Final comment, Kensie or Kate?
Just like what they said earlier, I'm just very thankful to be here and discuss it with all of you. You're all incredible people. And I love what you said, Kamryn, about as someone who's a senior looking toward beyond high school in the future, and being able to find like arts in what I want to do later. It's something that's made me just so incredibly hopeful for the future and excited. And thank you guys.
Kensie, the last word.
Thank you so much for having me here. I was so nervous throughout the whole thing. It's so new. I've never done anything like it.
Well, you are one brave sixth grader, Kensie. So kudos to you for being here. And to all of you, you have given me hope. And I am the father of 3 daughters, and you do young women everywhere proud. So thank you so much for being here. And at that, I am going to wrap this with a final word or two. All right. Arts or education is for everyone. So sign the pledge indicating your support. Urge your school board to pass the resolution to fund arts education in 2022 and donate to Arts Our Education to help us share the message at www.artsoureducation.org. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.